La resolució de la declaració dels i les representants del Parlament queda aprovada per 70 vots a favor, 10 en contra i 2 vots en blanc.
You've just seen it. The Catalan Parliament declared independence today. In a historic plenary session almost a month after the referendum, Catalan MPs created an independent republic. Calls for dialogue and negotiation, which lasted until the very last minute, failed. With 2 pro-independence leaders imprisoned for sedition and a threat to suspend Catalonia's self-government on the table, President Carles Puigdemont said it was up to Parliament to decide what happens next, and it did. 70 MPs voted yes to the Declaration of Independence, with 10 voting against and 2 abstentions. Here at Catalan News, we'll give you all the information about this very intense day. Catalan President Carles Puigdemont was about to call early elections yesterday, but he didn't, after admitting Madrid was not offering any guarantees that it would not suspend Catalonia's self-rule in exchange. After dramatic hours of negotiations between political parties and the government, the plenary started this morning with huge expectations. And unlike what happened on October 10th, when Puigdemont put on hold the declaration, this time the vote on independence went ahead.
October 27th, 2017, 3:25 p.m. local time, Barcelona. The Catalan Parliament president counted the last votes from lawmakers in a historic secret vote with high expectations. The majority of yes votes had an immediate consequence. Catalonia had declared independence.
La resolució de la declaració dels i les representants del Parlament queda aprovada per 70 vots a favor, 10 en contra i 2 vots en blanc.
What followed was joy by the majority of MPs. They were fully aware of what they had just voted on because the president of the chamber had read the whole declaration before the vote.
Constituïm la República Catalana com a estat independent i sobirà de dret, democràtic i social.
Right after this long-awaited moment for pro-independence campaigners, excitement was high in the parliament. At this point, emotions are running high in the parliament. As people are crying, people are hugging each other in the hallways. MPs that voted for the Declaration of Independence are celebrating, and ones who walked out or who voted no are commiserating. Not everyone was so happy in the chamber. The opposition parties did their best to prevent the declaration from being voted on, or at least to delay the decision. As neither tactic came to fruition, they decided to leave the chamber just before the vote in protest. Before walking out, though, some MPs left both Catalan and Spanish flags on their seats. Independence has been declared, but it is yet to be enforced, and Madrid will not just sit back and do nothing. But the motion passed in the Catalan parliament includes some measures to make the new state effective immediately. For instance, it requests an executive motion to launch mechanisms for citizens to receive Catalan nationality, to agree with Spain on a dual nationality treaty, and to seek the recognition from all countries and institutions.
The Catalan Parliament voted on independence after a heated debate in which all opposition parties took part. Although Unionist MPs left the chamber as independence was being voted on, they insisted in the previous minutes that Catalonia would never be independent and that the declaration would only bring poverty and division. Pro-independence MPs said a declaration was the only option after the continued refusal of the Spanish government to negotiate a referendum and its crush of the October 1st vote.
Ens és urgent crear un espai lliure de repressió i de por per tal de prendre les decisions que vulguem prendre sobre el futur del nostre país. I això es diu, i només es pot dir, procés constituent cap a la República Catalana.
Exagerados, anticatalanes, fachas, agoreros. Eso es lo que nos han llamado muchas personas de las que están hoy aquí sentadas durante años por decir que lo que está pasando hoy iba a pasar en Cataluña desde hace mucho tiempo.
I aquest pas, sàpiguen que el fem dempeus, amb el cap ben alt. No de genolls, ni com a súbdits, sinó com a persones lliures, sense por.
Aquests anys hem anat prenent consciència del que fan. Una estratègia pagada amb els diners de tots per intentar inocular-nos l'odi cap a altres terres d'Espanya. Una estratègia per generar divisió i fractura entre les famílies, entre els amics, entre els companys de feina. I tot això, senyors, és deliberat. Quanta irresponsabilitat. però alguns, amb molt poder, han estat les darreres setmanes jugant una partida d'escacs, carregada de testosterona, on el tauler era Catalunya i els peons la ciutadania. Indignada amb els efectes que aquesta partida està tenint i sobretot tindrà en la vida quotidiana de la gent.
¿Hay alguien en el planeta Tierra o la Vía Láctea, exceptuando ustedes y el señor Nicolás Maduro, que no sea facha? Uno al menos. Uno al menos. De hecho, usted ayer fue durante 3 horas facha y butiflé. ¿No le da vergüenza liderar un movimiento político que se basa en señalar y excluir a aquel que expresa la más mínima discrepancia? ¿No le da vergüenza? Porque a mí me la daría.
Immediately after the Declaration of Independence, the atmosphere in Parliament became pretty intense. Hundreds of mayors were in the building to express their support for independence, while many citizens waited outside. MPs and members of the government were cheered by their supporters as they left the plenary, and chants of independence and calls to keep calm and peaceful were heard.
Avui el Parlament del nostre país, un Parlament legítim, un Parlament sorgit de les eleccions del 27 de setembre, ha fet un pas llargament esperat i llargament lluitat. La immensa majoria dels representants polítics legítimament escollits han culminat un mandat validat a les urnes.
Ens volem adreçar especialment a tots ells per reiterar, com hem fet en tantes altres ocasions, el nostre compromís i el nostre amor per construir un futur en comú molt millor.
And today we have the majority of the parliament, a government that is ready to explain what we want, what the people for our villages, for our cities, they want.
Many people in Catalonia, 1 of October, vote for the independence. Today is the day of the history, the day of the future, the day of the freedom.
The possibility to speak about our identity and to go further with this historic claim.
And basically we don't actually know what's going to happen in the few next days, but nothing is going to be the same as today. So we're very excited, very proud of our government, and we don't know what's going to happen actually.
In the streets, independence was also being celebrated. Thousands of people gathered near Parliament and then near the Catalan government headquarters to celebrate the creation of the new Catalan Republic. After weeks of uncertainty over whether or not the results of the October 1st referendum would be applied, independence supporters got what they had been wishing for so long.
It is a running joke in Catalonia that since the push for independence started years ago, the list of so-called historic days is long enough to fill an entire calendar. Nevertheless, pro-independence supporters had good reason to think that today the word historic would not sound like an exaggeration, and indeed it wasn't. While everyone's eyes were on the Catalan Parliament, people began gathering in Barcelona's Ciutadella Park, where the legislative chamber is located, to closely follow the events taking place inside. Amid fears that Spanish police might break into the chamber to stop the vote, citizens encircled the park in a symbolic act of support for Catalan institutions. People held up signs in favour of independence, but also demanding the release of the 2 civil society leaders imprisoned since Monday last week on sedition charges. It was not only in the Catalan capital that pro-independence supporters looked forward to seeing their long-awaited political goal achieved. Other cities and towns around Catalonia also saw people gathering in squares to follow today's plenary session. And when the moment finally arrived, they could not hide their happiness. Representatives of the main pro-independence organisations, without their imprisoned heads, also backed Catalan institutions.
Estem al servei del govern i del Parlament i, per tant, la nostra funció a partir d'ara serà ajudar el govern a construir aquesta república. Esperem doncs, que el poble pugui celebrar-ho d'una manera cívica, pacífica i democràtica.
The politicians eventually left the Parliament to join the cheering crowd for a celebration with one eye on Madrid, awaiting the Spanish government's reaction. Meanwhile, city councils and official buildings began removing the flags of a state they no longer consider themselves part of.
While the Catalan Parliament declared independence, however, the Spanish Senate green-lighted the suspension of Catalonia's autonomy, as requested by Mariano Rajoy. He cheered the Spanish president as he addressed the chamber, saying that suspending autonomy was the only option left. Article 155 of the Constitution is now activated and allows to sack the full Catalan government, but Puigdemont and his ministers do not recognise Madrid's authority to do so. The Spanish government held afterwards an emergency cabinet meeting to respond to Catalonia's independence. President Mariano Rajoy insisted he will act calmly to restore legality in Catalonia. The prosecution is expected to present lawsuits against Catalan leaders for rebellion. The charge has a 30 years prison sentence. The Spanish president said he's dismissing the full Catalan cabinet, is shutting down offices abroad and calling early elections.
Cese del presidente de la Generalitat de Cataluña. Cese del vicepresidente de la Generalitat de Cataluña y del resto de consellers del Gobierno autonómico. Extinción del patronato de Diplocat. Extinción de las delegaciones en el extranjero, las conocidas como embajadas, excepto Bruselas. Cese de los delegados de la Generalitat en Bruselas y en Madrid. Les informo que hoy he disuelto el Parlamento de Cataluña y que el próximo 21 de diciembre se celebrarán elecciones autonómicas.
But the big question now is, how will the international community react to Catalonia's declaration of independence? Well, some leaders have already spoken out. The first one, the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, tweeted that for the EU nothing changes and Spain continues to be the only interlocutor. Tusk, however, was clear with Madrid, solve this with dialogue and not force. In Belgium, the Prime Minister also called for a peaceful solution based on national and international laws, while Berlin refused to recognise the declaration, as did the Department of the State of the US, stating that it respects Spain's measures to keep Spain united. The President of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani, also rejected the declaration as illegal. And with this, we finish today's show on a historic day for Catalonia, Spain and Europe. We leave you with some images that our team of reporters filmed today in the streets of Catalonia, while hundreds celebrated the Declaration of Independence. Thanks for watching.
Sí. Sí. No. Sí. Queda aprobada per 70.
De la declaració d'independència i el mandat als governs. República.